probably heard it before and you're going to hear it again. When it comes to investing, time is your best asset, and millennials have a lot more of it than the rest of us. So that's where we're going today for your Money Month. For more, we're joined by Tobianah. He's a second-year BCom student at Rotman, part of the University of Toronto, and a real live, living, breathing millennial.
Excited to be here, Francis.
Thank you very much for joining us. Let's start with, why do you not think there's enough or any focus really on money and finances in the education system?
Definitely. So the fact that we lack in that department is a tremendous flaw for our society. If you look at the numbers, on average, Canadians owe $1.65 per dollar of disposable income. Nearly 1 in 5 seniors declare bankruptcy. In fact, we're actually only second to Greece in terms of debt-to-income ratio since 2007. So I think some of the reasons why we might be lacking could be lack of qualification amongst professionals. Those that tend to be most qualified, like MBA pursuants, don't tend to strive to become a high school or middle school teacher. Not that there's anything wrong with that, just they prefer to stay within their respective industry. I also think that regulators tend to assume that it's the burden of the parental units to educate the youth on financial literacy, whereas I disagree. I think there should be a balance, and I think that the education system should support young individuals to develop that interest from a young age.
There's a push as well as a pull. So are your peers interested in finance, interested in learning about money and how to save for their future?
So I'm studying at a business program, so generally everyone around me is interested in it. But when I was in middle school, there was pretty much no way to get involved and to learn about capital markets. There was an entrepreneurship class, there was a basic economics class, but I think there was really a lack of support in terms of pushing students to develop that interest. And I really couldn't find a way to get involved and to support that interest.
How did you get interested?
So I like to blame it on 2 factors. So the first factor is that I grew up in a home where there was a lot of emphasis on personal wealth and the value of money and growing personal wealth. In addition, coupled with the fact that I received the book by Benjamin Graham, The Intelligent Investor, which basically outlines the insight behind value investing, and it just made so much sense. So a couple of factors, I think, contributed to me developing an interest from a young age.
If there are millennials watching right now or watching online later, what do you think are a couple of things that they should be thinking about in terms of addressing their own financial education?
So I think the first thing is to start reading. Pick up a book from a young age, try to develop that interest and start from a young age. If you take a look at a hypothetical case of compounding returns, which is basically adding interest to the principal and letting your money grow at an increasing rate. So a hypothetical situation at age 35, if you begin investing $200 a month at an average return of about 6% conservatively, you'll end up with $245,000. If you start just 10 years earlier at age 25, you'll end up with $515,000. So you can see the significant difference. You can see if you focus on time in the market and high quality companies, it'll make such a difference in the long term, and you'll definitely reap the benefits.
And what is your investing philosophy? Is it value? Is it growth?
Value, definitely. I like to mix in value and growth. It's quite simple. I look for high quality, financially sound companies, wealth creating companies that are well managed and generating cash flow, but I like to pay a good price for them. So I like to pay below what I perceive as the intrinsic value of the company. In addition, I think the dividend is extremely important. It acts as a stabilizer, and it acts as a role of certainty in times of uncertainty. If you look back to 1930s, dividend payers outperformed non-dividend payers to the tune of 8.1% to 3% roughly annually. If you go to 1970, over 40 years, over 70% of total market returns have come from dividends. So you can see the difference dividends make in a portfolio and the stabilizing effect they may have.
You've done a lot of your homework, but my last question, though, is for millennials. A lot of say, well, it's great to have returns, whether they're dividend or capital gain, but I just don't have any money.
So that's true. I mean, there's always gifts from your parents, from birthdays, but also I encourage young people to develop an entrepreneurial spirit. There's always a way to make money, and I know me and a lot of my friends, when we were young, we started different entrepreneurial ventures, whether it was making $5 or $10 on a hat, selling it out of my locker in middle school. There was a way to get it done, and it definitely contributed to me gaining that interest and having capital to even deploy it.
Isaac, thank you very much. And I understand our own Christina Partzinevelis is going to be at Rotman School on Friday. I think there's an international stock competition.
Yeah.
So I suspect you will be there as well.
Yeah, definitely. I'll be taking part.
Thank you very much for joining us.
No problem. Thanks for having me.